to you. The time is 7 p.m. Sunday evening, and a very warm welcome to the Football Fan Zone show. My name is Rob Spurrell. I'm joined in the studio by Lee Lawler and Kyle Thompson, and this is what we'll be talking about tonight. Since our last show last Sunday, Mr. Thompson to my left here, well, I know you can't see it, but Mr. Thompson did a really good job in presenting last week's show, so, well done to him.
Cheers, Rob, cheers.
But since that show, it has been quite manic at Newcastle United, even though, we are in the off-season now. There's been plenty of takeover talk. So many things have been said, so many sources say one thing, so many sources say otherwise that contradict each other. We'll just be looking apart at what's been said this past week regarding the takeover by Sheikh bin Zayed and his group. And yes, elsewhere in the northeast, Alan Armstrong, the Blythe manager, has made a switch over to Darlington, and former Newcastle player Lee Clark has made the switch to Blythe Spartans. He's the new manager there. We'll also be talking about the Europa League and Champions League finals, discussing them, as well as the handball rule discussion, changes in the rules, and Championship playoff final, and how the promoted sides from this season's Championship might cope next season. But first, quite a poignant moment, as yesterday we learnt of the death of Jose Antonio Reyes. Very sad, and later on in the programme we will be reflecting on his career and achievements, as well as we'll talk about the deaths of other footballing people in the game over this past year. Our thoughts here at Newcastle Fans TV and NE1 FM are with Reyes' family and friends at this difficult time. Okay, so that is what we have coming up for you tonight. So, first of all, the takeover. Now, this has been big. This is big news, really big news at Newcastle United for so long now. Newcastle United fans have been calling on Mike Ashley to leave the club, and even if that meant for one person with very little in the bank account, but as long as that person had the ambition to invest what little they had, then Newcastle fans would certainly take that over Mike Ashley, or at least 99.9% of them would. We did not ask for a Man City-esque billionaire that would effectively buy the success that money is so important at the highest of levels nowadays. And so, Kyle, what is your take of the situation in terms of it's a big if at this moment in time, but what might the future hold for Newcastle United?
Well, put it this way, mate, it's been the longest week as a Newcastle fan in such a long time, because Monday it all comes out with from the Sun of all media outlets, but it comes out from them. Not a lot of people sceptical, a lot of bandwagon jumpers in terms of the media jumping on it, and it all comes out with these statements and things like that. And it's been such a long week because it's just drizzled out into like very little from the media. So
everything that was mentioned in last week's show is now completely irrelevant now.
I even said that a day after, a couple hours after. Like everything I mentioned in my first show that I presented was rendered meaningless, mate, because of all this takeover talk. But my thoughts on it are, my head wants to say, my heart says yes, and my head says no on it. It's like, because we've been here before with the Stavely stuff, with the Kenyan stuff. So my opinion is on it, I'm just going to remain on the fence with it for now, but I'm hoping something comes up with it, because at the end of the day, as fans, 12 years of Mike Ashley, man, he's dragged me through it, like, and when we all get older, we'll talk about this owner, what he's done to this club. He's took this club to its knees, 2 relegations in 12 seasons.
6 relegations Newcastle have experienced in their whole history.
Exactly.
He has been there for a third of them.
Exactly, and just the meaningless ambition. Like all the transfer windows of frustration, all the negligent managerial appointments, director appointments, stadium name changes, stupid sponsors. It's just season after season of rubbish with him, mate. And honestly, if it is true that this Sheikh wants to come and buy Newcastle United, I'm more than happy for him to take it. Because as Paul would say on our channel, I'd even take Fred West at this point. Like honestly, like Mike Ashley's such a disease to this
Other
club.
serial killers are available.
And honestly, mate, like it's just such a shame, like how far we've fallen under this man. And I think with the help of Rafa, and hopefully if these people take this club over, we'll get our club back. Do you know what I mean? As fans, we can get a real good feel going into the start of the season, because I feel whether this takeover happens or not, it does for most fans hinder the whole start of next season. Because if it doesn't happen, we're all going to be on a proper bummer going into the start of the season. It's going to be flat. It's just going to be completely. Yeah. Everyone's going to be proper sick, like.
Just like the season just gone, the start.
Exactly.
Of it.
It could end up in protests and things like that. Whereas if it happens, you'll get such a good feel. Like I think it'd be reminiscent of the World Cup last year when England beat Sweden. The whole town, man, was just so happy. Everyone's jumping up and down. I think that's what Newcastle will be like if the news comes through. Mike Ashley sold the club. I think people would go around St James's Park and just start partying, mate, because it would spell an end to what's been probably the worst spell in Newcastle United's history with an owner for a good long time.
Yeah, and since he put the club up for sale back in October 2017, Newcastle fans have had a fairly common chant which goes, "We're going to have a party, we're going to have a party, we're going to have a party when Ashley sells the club."
I've heard different versions, mate.
But yeah, there are different versions, but that's the one we'll stick to for now. And so, on the subject of Mike Ashley, does it, Lee? It completely baffles me why Kyle has talked for quite some time on the whole, on the so many ways that Ashley has brought the club to its knees, and yet you get some so-called neutrals that are keep backing him up. Rio Ferdinand for one, Richard Keys.
Didn't get a start on him, Rob.
Yeah, but yeah, there are some so-called neutrals that keep backing him up, even though the proof is there to see that he has run the club to its knees.
Well, Rio Ferdinand's only saying that because he's business partner. We all know that. I think if Rio Ferdinand said that off camera, I don't think he would say the same thing twice, would he? I think that's common knowledge. Look, Rio Ferdinand, what he said is just daft. We've got the guys over in the Far East, shall we say, Keys and Gray. I'll try and keep it clean, but it seems to me that these types of guys, and you could probably throw Dennis Wise, Tim Sherwood in that ranks, that they're not educated enough because they're not from our area. They don't get it. They don't get the people. They don't get the city. They're just looking for, especially Richard Keys, just looks like he's looking for clicks. He wants a reaction from Newcastle fans, and in particular on Twitter.
Honestly, can you remember when them two were on Sky, man, Andy Gray and Richard Keys? Like, after Sunderland, when I was a Ben, them were top hatred. Like, I used to hate Andy Gray. Like, I used to watch football in the bars with my dad when I was a Ben, and honestly, when Andy Gray used to talk, my dad used to proper go at them. Like,
but they used to be the top guys, But
well, they used to be, and then
until obviously the sexist case came out.
They did what they did, and when they were off television, I know what they did was really bad, but part of me was just, it was like, I was so happy because Andy Gray off television is just a win for everyone, because he's such, he's just so biased. He's always hated Newcastle, and Richard Keys is exactly the same. Just with Keys, he's got this agenda against Rafa Benitez. He's got this agenda against Newcastle United. Stuff your agenda, mate. I couldn't give it. I really couldn't care what you think.
They're not educated enough. They're just not.
They're not. They're just stupid.
They're all, half of them are halfway around the world talking rubbish, and then you've got people like the Cockneys. I'm trying to be very professional and not say that word. You know what I'm trying to say. Look, if someone like Alan Shearer said it, or a local lad like a Lee Clark, which we'll talk about later on, if he said it, we were like, oh, wait a minute, I know Shola done it, and I think that's probably Shola's biggest mistake when he said that on Sky. He probably pushed it into a corner, yes. However, he did say that Mike Ashley was a good businessman, what he has done for the club, and he's on TV again. I'm not excusing Shola's excuse, but I don't think he'll say that again, ever again.
Nah, definitely
Probably not.
Even though I'm guessing Shola, and I'm predicting Shola will be part of the club going on from the summer in the youth development.
I mean, for our listeners on NE1 FM, we're also live streaming this to our YouTube channel, NewcastleFansTV.com, and so I think everyone who is listening to this right now, they get it. they understand why Mike Ashley has been such a terrible owner. So, if we sort of talk about Mike Ashley this, Mike Ashley that, that's almost preaching to the converted, if you like. But if there is anyone out there who is listening to this who doesn't quite understand the severity of the situation of what's been going on at St James's Park over the past 12 years,
suffering, yes.
So it's the suffering, because I mean, 2 relegations, like what Carl said, what bring the worst feeling of relegation, why you're in tears after you go down. It's not the feeling that you've gone down, it's the feeling of uncertainty. Because as soon as you get relegated, it's all about how you react. We weren't sure whether Rafa was going to stay back in 2016. The club was a complete mess from top to bottom back in 2009. And then it's what brings you to tears is the feeling of uncertainty, because the reality is, you could be there for some time. I mean, look at Middlesbrough, for instance. With
Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds.
Exactly.
Aston Villa.
It's proven to be a hard division, and as the years go on, the Championship is becoming like one of the top leagues, not just in England but in Europe as well.
Wait, look
like,
at Wigan, the one
you
there,
could
FA
put
Cup.
you could put Championship sides these days against a lot of like
Lower Premier League.
lower European sides like your Anderlechts and teams like that. Like Championship sides could compete with them. That's how good the Championship is at the minute. You mean you look at the like
statistically, it's the 4th most watched league in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going for that.
They've got quality players. I mean, Derby, they didn't even get promoted. They've got Mason Mount, Kent, all these great players, mate, and that will get into Premier League sides. So at the end of the day, the Championship's doing really well, and I'd hate to see we're back in it again, because I don't think we'll come back.
No, I don't want to be going a Tuesday to Rotherham and then a Saturday down to Plymouth or something.
Don't
like
worry,
that.
Sky will see that we're going to Norwich on a Tuesday. Won't we?
No comment.
No comment.
That was
I
on
wonder why.
Valentine's Day when we played Norwich at Carrow Road when we were in the Championship.
Was that love?
Oh.
No.
No, it was madness.
That's gone over my head.
It's gone over mine as well.
Oh, well, Madness, the band. So
Yeah, I know the man.
Yeah,
I know who the band
all
are.
the people would have got that one.
Okay. But yeah, you got the relegations, you got the lack of ambition in the transfer market, which brings, the likelihood of relegation. You've also got the stadium name change, and now, if you're not from the northeast listening to this, if you're not a Newcastle fan either, something about the northeast people, whether you are Newcastle, Middlesbrough or Sunderland, we love our football. It is, the northeast will suffer so much if every northeast team is no longer competing at the highest level. It relies on the local economy. Well, the local economy relies on the success of the teams in the northeast. And so to have this, we love our football, and so to have the stadium name changed to the Sports Direct Arena. I mean, I was there for the first home game after that back in February 2012 against Wolves. It was a 2-2 draw, and the atmosphere, there was the funeral, of course, that was going on outside the ground before kick-off, and then inside the ground there was a big chant of "Stand up for St James's Park." I mean, we love our football, and I know that the name has been changed back, but how, Kyle, from your point of view, how is it? What sort of feelings other than anguish were there towards Mike Ashley over that stadium name change?
More, it's shock.
Embarrassment, isn't it?
I remember reading it in the Chronicle when I was there. It was a couple of years ago now, but just to say that he changed the name, it was a shock among everyone. Like, it was at the time over 90 year of history that he was just ripping away from the football club
to promote his own brand.
To promote his own brand. It's like, you don't do that. And he came to his senses not long later through Wonga, as it happens, to change back to St James's Park. But what an absolute madman! Just to just get rid of his historical name like St James's Park. He knew it would annoy the supporters, but he still went with it anyway. And with Mike Ashley, it's a long list of dodgy decisions that he's made at this football club. Honestly, like, you can go on about the the stadium name changes. You can go on about the signings. You can go on about the appointments. You can go on about everything with Mike Ashley. Every dodgy dealing that he's done, it's like us as fans have had to suffer the roller coaster of it. And if this Sheikh comes in and buys the club, whatever comes with it, the money or whatever that's being touted, the hundreds of millions, for me, getting rid of Mike Ashley's the main thing. Anything else is just a bonus. Like, even if a homeless man on the street bought Newcastle United and had the ambition to do more with it and make it self-sustaining and invest its own money back into the club, I'd be buzzing, me. But it just so happens it's a rich Sheikh that wants to buy the club and wants to take it forward, that wants to do that, and that for me is a bonus. Mike Ashley leaving is the top and bottom of what I want.
We've seen it with Manchester City, the effect that those owners have had over the past 12 or so years, and he's been running the club on the cheap ever since he came in, and that of course brings about the likelihood of relegation. There's no sense of competing for a trophy, no sense of competing for that's not the recipe of a successful football club. And to quote some song lyrics, life is about living, not just getting by.
But that's Mike Ashley in a sentence, mate. Yeah. It's just getting by. That's all he wants to do.
Exactly.
Like, the statistics speak for themselves. Like, we haven't made it past the fourth round of the FA Cup since he came in. Mm-hmm. I mean, my highest finish is fifth in a fluke season where two strikers carried weight either end of the season. Bar that, mate. What we've done? We've done nothing as a football club. It's been an empty 10, 12 years at this club. Like, we've had a couple of days where you can say, what a day for the fans.
The only good thing he's done is brought Rafa Benitez in.
I agree.
That's the only thing.
And that's only because Rafa Benitez approached the club.
Exactly.
But rumour has it that they wanted David Moyes before.
They did want David Moyes.
Before
Charlie said David Moyes would be ideal, and like, are you just insane?
He is insane.
Like, to my knowledge, there's only one person that actually supports Lee Charnley. So that tells you all you need to know.
Is that Mike Ashley?
No, it's not. It's among the channel. If you're listening, you know who you are. But at the end of the day, Lee Charnley, he's just as inept as Mike Ashley is. Clueless. In terms of getting deals done, he's very slow. He's very on the fence about things. You just get the feeling he's just there. That's it. There. Derek Lambais, exactly the same. Keith Bishop.
It'd be really
Dennis Wise.
It'd be really interesting to see what it's like for Lee Charnley, because I'm not sticking up for him, but is Mike Ashley constantly on him? You just don't know. Maybe we'll never find out until he leaves the club. Then he might say, well, actually, I agreed with Newcastle fans. I agreed that shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have happened.
If he keeps his job, I expect that, because he'd be like trying to get people on board. Like, I didn't really mean that, and it's like, I was shackled down.
We don't know if Mike Ashley is constantly.
I think if Ashley does leave this summer though, and a new owner comes in, I think a lot will come out about Mike Ashley, mind. I think we'll hear about all of his dodgy dealings. I think we'll hear about everything, Lee. Honestly, we really will.
As soon as there's no affiliation with a club, I agree. You'll see catering staff. You'll see stewards. You'll see all sorts from even from the board to ex-players. I think that's when there's no ties there. I think we'll really learn, and it might take years and years.
Because all we've had really is Kevin Keegan's book and what Kevin Keegan said.
And that's probably just a small insight.
I mean, when the takeover talks first started with the media, and anyway, to our knowledge, like I remember putting a post up on our Facebook page, just with the banner that War Flags put up. He's just one man, and you'll get your club back. And that I put that up, and it's an important message now as it's ever been, because he's right. When the day Mike Ashley leaves is the day Newcastle United fans and all the Geordies get the club back, and that's what we want.
We will get it.
I mean,
we will have our day. It might be a long time, but we'll get it.
I mean, it might be the Sheikh, it might be someone else, but one day we will get this club back. We will.
And I can't wait for when that day happens. Like what Lee said. It might not be in the near future. I'm prepared for that. It might not be in the near future, but we will have that day, and it will feel like an evil dictatorship being overthrown.
Be like when the Berlin Wall fell, wouldn't it?
Be like when England got, in the World Cup. It'll be that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Drink,
I touched
beer,
on it before. It'd
celebration.
be a real good feeling, honestly. I like even at the thought of the links in that a couple of weeks ago, like with the media and whatnot saying, "Oh, the deal's been agreed." I was shaking in excitement, like thinking, "Is this it? Is this is this finally the moment we've been waiting
it was
for?"
the sun.
And 12 years ago, man, like he bought this club, and look where we are now. Like, gee, me, it's just a mess, and hopefully, something comes of this of these rumours, like.
I would agree.
And coming up after the break, we'll be talking about the takeover, about what's been going on this week regarding the Sheikh bin Zayed and what his group and lawyers have been saying over the past week. And that is coming up after this ad break.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
And welcome back to the Football Fans. I'm Bob Spurrell. And so we have been talking about what, in terms of it's been news, big news in fact, regarding the supposed takeover from the Sheikh bin Zayed group. And so, before we continue, just to make sure that everything that gets discussed here coming up is all alleged. We don't know anything.
Alleged.
Yeah,
Yes, we're not putting out confirmed statements.
Yeah,
I would say.
no confirmations. We don't know.
No exclusives
anything.
on this show.
No
Yeah.
confirmations via third party.
Exactly what what Kyle and Lee have just said. Couldn't have put it better myself. So yeah, the best way of keeping up to date is keep checking the regular newspapers, news online,
And our
etc.
Facebook page and Twitter as well, all up to date. As soon as the news gets it, we put on ours as well. Very informative, decent admins there. And
our very own Kyle and Paul work really hard to maintain that.
yes, indeed.
Okay, so it began almost about an hour after last week's radio show, and it was reported by the Sun initially, and then because it's the Sun,
You
people
don't believe it, do you?
they're understandably skeptical. There's there's very few people that sort of believe it. I mean, we've heard it before with Staveley, Kenyon, and there have been several consortiums that have supposedly been trying to take over Newcastle over the past few years, and no such stories have ever materialised. But then I woke up on Monday morning to find that as well as the Sun, from what they reported on the night before, it's also other news like Sky Sports News, BBC News, Mail Online, so many other and much more reliable news outlets that are reporting this, and all of a sudden you just think, there could really well be.
There could actually be
some
something.
yeah, it could really well be something, some hope for Newcastle fans, which is all they've been wanting. And so on Monday, there was a statement made. There was so much talk being announced on Monday that allegedly. The 300.
I like how he says allegedly.
Allegedly, the £350 million price tag that Mike Ashley put on the club had been met. Allegedly, I'll keep saying it. But yeah, the price tag had been met, and that terms were agreed. Later in the week, we heard that paperwork had allegedly been submitted to the Premier League back in mid-April. So all of a sudden, all of these steps are being taken, are being processed, and all of a sudden, you have many journalists, flooding St James's Park, trying to get something, and hearing this from their sources, hearing that from their sources. And Kyle, I noticed the other day you were at St James's Park just to sort of try things out. What was it like amongst the melee of journalists that were getting there, trying to get a piece of the action?
I'm going to be honest, mate. I seen one journalist, and it was Sky Sports. Other than that, there was not a single journalist about. I mean, I think they were trying to get into trying to ring the box office and things to try and get the story, but it was quite quiet around St James's Park actually.
Why would the box office be open? Because we haven't got any upcoming games. We don't know when the next game is.
The press office. My apologies. Yeah, but it was quite quiet, to be fair. Like, it was just a nice day. I just tried to see if I get anything. Nah, out there really.
Definitely wasn't quiet on Twitter though, was it?
No, that seems to be where so many people talk behind the keyboards. And
it's like that. There was just so much going on. You just didn't know what those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were just. We haven't seen that probably all season. And normally you get a height after Newcastle game where people go on and express their opinions. He was great. He wasn't. He should have done this. Yeah, you get all of that, but it got trending. The takeover was trending once more, and that tells its own story. That you just didn't know who to believe because there was so many stories from the Sun, and then it was one story was from the Daily Mail, and then there was a statement. I've got a problem with, and I've seen this. If anybody's seen the video on our channel, is all these third-party statements I didn't like. I really don't. I think there's something dodgy about it. Why aren't the Bin Zayed group coming out officially and saying?
To be fair though, Lee, if it was a crop of lies, I think by now they would have came out with a statement, an official statement to deny these claims.
I'm not denying it's a lie. Just the way they're doing the business, I don't like that.
To be fair though, we've slated Mike Ashley for a long time in saying, why aren't they more talkative with the fans? Why is there no communication? Yet this group from the get-go, if even from interest, they've played it out in the public, and a lot of fans, like me included, I'm really happy with it. Like if if they buy the club and they run it with that kind of communication, great. Because I want to feel closer to my team and I want to know what's going on.
I agree on that point.
Like the club, the club itself under the regime it's under still haven't made a statement. We're nearly a week in from the rumours first happening and with what's transpired over the week, and not a single word from the club.
It's only 7:30. There could be another one tonight.
At the end of the day, there's nothing came from that club. They haven't said, even if they'd said, we're working with Benzai Group closely, but we're not commenting
Well,
more
this is
this
the
time.
problem that I've
Even
got.
something that small would have been great, because the fans are like, right, they're just getting on with it, let them go, let them, whatever.
Well, this is the problem that I have, is that everything is third party. The Chronicle turned around and said that the club are aware of it and acknowledged it. I don't see that. Where is it? Where is it? It's not on the website. It's not on any Twitter feed. It's not on Facebook. It's all third party, and I just think
the club are active because they're putting stuff up on they're putting stuff on their social media, like Shelby's training and who's your hardest player to play against in the season. They're active. They know like they're putting stuff out, and every time there's a comment section on one of them, it's like, what's happening with the takeover? Can you mention something? Can you speak to it? Please say something. And they never do. It's like it's like, honestly.
I said on Thursday that the time is now to come out and either deny it or just say this is happening. We understand the frustrations. We have to go through due diligence.
Just some clarity.
Yeah, basically that's
exactly.
it.
Just
and
to
then it'll
put
cut.
these.
I think it'll cut all the stories of the lies to one side, and then yes, I know you're still going to get lies of what the terms are and stuff by journalists. There's some I do trust, there's some there isn't, and look. It's up to which side of the fence that you sit on, whether you want to sit on the fence or not. Who you believe and who you didn't. The takeover, I think it probably is something in there. I just don't like the way it's being broadcast everywhere. And this lawyer, I've got a problem with this lawyer. Everybody knows.
This lawyer. Let's talk about this lawyer. I fell for it hook, line and sinker. I put on the Facebook page, oh, look at this, it's going to happen Friday, lads. No, but it's just turned out to be lies, mate, honestly. Like, saying, you still have a happy Friday and whatnot. Honestly, mate, like, gotta keep it clean on with, but it's really frustrated me as a fan, because why would you lie like that? Like, what's...
but the thing I didn't like is he put that tweet out about teasing Newcastle fans about Mata, Robin and James Rodriguez.
He was just looking for clicks, man. Mark Douglas asked the Benzai Group for a comment on this lawyer, and they don't know about him, so... He's a Man United fan. That's all you need to know. He's a Man United fan, a bit bitter that his team lost at home to Cardiff and finished 6th, and all these fell off his wheel. So
drunken wheel.
He's a bit bitter.
And there was a theory around Friday that it was thought that there was a possibility that Bin Zayed might be travelling to Newcastle on the Friday, and as it's turned out, it seems like we've been taken for a ride.
Someone please shoot this man.
Carl came up with one earlier. He said bar that.
No, he didn't.
That wasn't intentional though, Rob.
Oh, come on. But yeah, like what you said earlier.
That's gone red in the corner over there.
Oh, it's just too hot, and I'm furthest away from the fans. Yeah, I like air we've got some fans. It's boiling in the studio, if you don't know. Well, you probably wouldn't know. It is boiling in the studio. We've got some fans here. I'm furthest away from them. And, I like air conditioning so much, you could say I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah. Kyle, walking off.
God's sake. If anyone misses presenter, let us know in the comments. Yeah? Jesus Christ, Rob.
We are looking for a new presenter.
But yeah, back to what you said a couple of minutes ago. The club have been active on their social media. They are ignoring what is quite obviously the elephant in the room, you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed you were trying to process that thing. Is that a pun?
I'm just waiting.
No, please don't, Rob.
I haven't got one yet. I'll try and engineer one while I'm talking like this. But yeah, it has been quite difficult. Difficult to understand. Sources say this, sources say that.
I'm sick of these sources, me, because honestly, man.
What, like ketchup?
Who are they? It's like
ketchup,
Heinz
barbecue sauce.
Like, come on, man. Like,
Would you like to know what everyone's saying in the live chat?
I would actually. What's people
So,
saying in the
for
live
people
chat?
who are
Bar
listening-
low audio.
No, that's been fixed.
That has been fixed.
So
Thank
what
God.
everyone's saying in the live chat is you need a decent striker, need new fullbacks. Apparently the group have not heard of this lawyer. You've just mentioned that, Kyle.
I have.
That was by Mark Atkinson. Thanks for your comments, Mark. It's turned into a media frenzy, and as fans we are being tortured because we don't know what's the truth and what's not. Again,
The real torch has been the last 12 years, but do carry on.
Tom Aiken, spot on. Weren't the Friday emails exposed as fakes, says Kenny Wilshire. So, look, even people in the live who are watching this live on YouTube have got massive doubts. And they've got every right to be. And you know what it is? I done that video on Thursday when I had a controlled rant question where all this stuff coming from. And I'm pleased I've done it. I spoke my mind about it. And I think you've got to be a little bit concerned whilst being up you.
I'd say. Yeah.
Thank you very much for putting that in my
Sorry. My brain's like a few seconds behind.
One more before I let you carry on, Rob. Stephen Foster says it's the same season. It's the same every season. Sometimes nothing in the something. Sorry, I'll say it again. Something always in the pipeline each window, but nothing ever comes of it.
Well, it's
That is a trend.
It is. He's right. I mean, a couple of seasons ago it was, is Rafa going to have enough money to compete? We didn't. Same again last season. And this season's a question of the takeover. Next year it'll be. Like I seen this. This post someone put up on Twitter, how Ashley's going to fool fans this year. Amanda Stavely, Peter Kenyon, Sheikh, and then Bill Gates,
God,
and then God, and then question marks in 2023. I was
we're gonna laugh at some things.
I mean, you have to laugh at some things at the tragedy that is the football club under this ownership, but. It's just we need some clarity, mate. That's the top and bottom of it. Need some clarity as to what's going on.
I think if it's more quiet, I actually think it's a better thing that it's quieter than all these rumours left, right, and centre.
I don't like quiet. I really.
No,
don't.
I just think the first 3 days last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you just couldn't keep up. There was something. Breaking, and people who can't say that, I'm doing the inverted commas. There's breaking news every 2 hours. It's like what's happening. It's on. It's off. What's he said. What's she said. Blah blah blah. And that's quieting down a little bit, and I prefer that because Mike Ashley, whether you love him or hate him, we all hate him. We all hate him, right? He does not want his business in public. Being like it is now, he would go off it. He would be going wild at seeing all of this, whether it's agreed terms in the Premier League or looking whatever. There's no shadow of a doubt. He likes that done privately, and then he'll say, right, I am the new.
No, because he likes to control the narrative. He always has done. He likes to control what goes out into his businesses, whether it's Newcastle Sports Direct, House of Fraser, any crap company on the street that he's bought, like anything, mate. Like
you not want it done public.
He wants to control the narrative and feed the crap that he's fed the fans over the years. Found in a test with Kevin Keegan in the court case that he lies to the fans of Newcastle United a lot.
Well, we can go on and on.
We'll go on with him, but at the end of the day,
the stuff that he's done.
He won't like this public approach that the Binzai group are going with.
He'll
hate it because he's quite closed and just hates talking to people, I suppose.
And so another big elephant in the room right now at Newcastle United is Rafa's contract, and this supposed allegedly takeover could well be very well linked with this. And I noticed Hosselu allegedly said, he was talking about 1 year that's remaining on his contract, and he used the words, "It depends on the new boards that are coming into the club." Now, I don't know whether players are being given some insight that journalists.
They'll know something, surely, at Christ. Surely they know something's going on.
But then, of course, Rafa Benitez, is he holding out? Might he be holding out for a new ownership to?
I think Rafa is,
take him on board.
Dear, I think you've got to go with fear the worst. I think you've got to look at it and think, yes, that's a bonus. However, if that doesn't come off, I'm left with this rumoured 50-60 million with Mike Ashley in charge. I think that Rafa has to think like that before signing his contracts. That's
pretty
what
much,
I think.
yeah.
I think he has to go with that mindset. He has to go in thinking, I've got 50-60 million, I have Mike Ashley until further notice. I don't think he can look beyond that.
If he signs a new contract, it's with the risk that he might not get
It might even
what he wants in
persuade
terms of
Ashley.
this takeover.
Yeah, it might persuade Ashley to stay if Rafa
Oh God, don't say
decides
that.
to stay.
Well, question for you, as I said this off topic, I'll say it whilst we're live. If Mike Ashley was, who would you prefer to leave? Mike Ashley or Rafa Benitez?
But you put in the question, if we were to get taken over, but Rafa wasn't manager anymore, would you do it? I say it's in a heartbeat, mate, because as Kevin Keegan always has said for the past 12 years, this club will not go forward under Mike Ashley. Rafa Benitez is in the top 10 managers in the world, and he kind of get past mid-table. Like, so if Rafa Benitez kind of get past that under this ownership that's strangling the club to death, who can? Like, if it meant a new ownership coming in, but Rafa was to sadly go, it would be horrible to see Rafa leave, because as a fan under this horrible regime, he's given me some unbelievable memories, but for the good of the club and for the good of the future of the club, I'd take Ashley leaving over just about anything, mate. I really would. Because it gives her a chance to start again.
I think going forward, if Rafa Benitez was to leave, I think Mike Ashley, we've got to get rid of him. I think he is, because life goes on after ex-players, managers. You look at Keegan, we thought, nothing's happened. Bobby came in. Look at Bobby, we got Rafa later on. Look at Shearer when he retired, we all thought, that's it. We're not going to get a striker like this ever again. Quite a few coming in, so there is life after a manager, but Mike Ashley has to go.
But I would stress that Rafa's my number one choice. If the owners, if these owners come in the manager and they keep on Rafa, that would be the best summer.
It would be, but
like, honestly,
I'll be against not having Rafa there, but
because Rafa with a bit of hope, like, above him, a bit of ambition above him, like. What does it, like, with limited options, limited budget, limited everything at Newcastle under Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley, he's done amazing things. Like, we'll beat Man City this year, for God's sake. Like, nobody's beat Man City this year, but us and Tottenham in the Champions League. And like, what he had at the time, he's 4th and 5th choice centre midfielders playing against Man City, and we'll beat them. Like, it's insane. To think what kind of manager we'll have. His attention to detail is unbelievable, and there's not many you can say that get it, like, and he gets it. So Rafa for me has got to stay at this club. But if him leaving came at the cost of the owners, then I would get rid of him.
Yeah. Okay, so that's been a concise summary of what has been going on this past week at Newcastle United. Coming up after this, we'll be talking about the Europa League and Champions League finals and how Lee Clark has been getting on, as he is now the new Blythe Spartans manager.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played.
And now we're going to move away from Newcastle United now and switch over to Blythe Spartans and a little bit of my hometown, Darlington. And the news this week is that Alan Armstrong, who was the manager of Blythe Spartans, has now made the switch over to fellow National League North side Darlington. And on top of that, while Kyle is having some microphone issues...
Come to me, Rob.
well, yeah, he seems to have taken 4 Blythe Spartans players with him. And it was a good season for Blythe Spartans this season. They just missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was a shame for them. But it's a step down, essentially, isn't it, Darlington? Because they were struggling at the other end of the table and, survived with, albeit 2 or 3 games remaining. But that's a big step, isn't it?
First and foremost, it's nice to see 2 Geordie lads back in the North East managing as well. I know it's not the level that they probably wanted. Alan Armstrong going down to Darlington, the reformed Darlow and all of that. I was surprised he managed to convince 4 Blythe players just to say, no, I'll drop down a level and come play for you. Maybe he's been told he's got maybe a bit of ambition's been shown. Look, I know there's money in lower league, it's not great, but maybe he has a bit more than what he was probably expecting.
Yeah, managers fancy a project. I mean, it's slightly different, but any football manager player that's out there love a good ambition, building them up through the leagues and get them win the Champions League in a couple of years.
Well, Darlington are no strangers to so-called ambition. When George Reynolds was the owner back in the early noughties, and credit, it's all nice to have ambition, but when you're in a League Two side and then you build a Premier League quality stadium, that's going to be the cause of your downfall if you don't get promoted, which is what happened to Darlington. They couldn't get promoted. Yeah, they couldn't get promoted over about 7 or 8 years, and they just could not keep up the payments for the stadium, and that led them to financial problems. That led them to their liquidation before they reformed, and are now back up there in the National League North. And replacing Alan Armstrong as manager of Blythe, we have our very own Lee Clark, former Newcastle player and Sunderland. But during his time at Sunderland,
we all know what happened during his time at Sunderland.
We all know during his time at Sunderland and what he did to mean that he never played in a Sunderland shirt again.
Nice one, Lee. Nice one.
So yeah,
good luck, Lee.
He was once a Geordie, always a Geordie, and fantastic player, wasn't he? He was part of the Kevin Keegan title challenges. Well, we came up in the first place under Kevin Keegan, and we went straight into a European title challenge, and that was some good times. That we interviewed Mick Lowes about 9 months ago now, and he talked about the good times when times when Lee Clark was playing at the club. So talk to us, Lee. What were your memories of Lee Clark as a player?
When I got into football, 95-96 season was the big one. He wasn't really a mainstay in that side because Rob Lee was ahead of him in that set midfield. Local lad from Wales End, but you had an influx of local talent. I know Alan Thompson moved on. You had Steve Guppy move on. Obviously Alan Armstrong just touched upon, but you had Stevie Watson breaking through as well. So we had a pool
manager of York.
Yeah.
at that same level as well.
Yeah, so it's a common theme going on
Yeah.
tonight, isn't it? So you had it on the verge, but Keegan didn't really believe in the youth development. We all know that he got rid of it. However, Clark was in there, in and out the side, moved away, had a great, probably his best spell was probably at Fulham, where he's probably played his best football. I think he got the Europa League final, if I'm aware, became captain of the club as well. So he's matured, got experience, came back to Newcastle for the one season, which I thought that was a bit left field. Didn't see that one coming.
It was to sort of round off his career. I mean,
Yeah.
you see so many players, move off to America or maybe China to sort of. I always see them as like the retirement home for players before they round off their career. But for Clark, he wanted to return home, and it was always an emergency backup home.
Yeah, he was never first choice, was he? But
No.
what you can say about him, Endeavour, Hart, as players who have not got massive ability, what you then ask of them, work hard, and he's done that.
Yeah, he had that in abundance,
Yeah,
didn't he? Like
And he'll
Clark.
play. He'll probably play anywhere because he loved the tune.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then as soon as I was really surprised because he retired fairly early, and then went straight into what the under 23s development, started coaching, and then now obviously went out to Huddersfield. He done wonderful things. I think he had something like 52, something stupid like that. Games unbeaten, which is phenomenal.
Built a team around Jordan Rhodes and really
Yeah.
gave him a name.
Yeah.
Like,
That's where he got his name. Yes, I know he's been to Kilmarnock. He's had a job in Bury, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
He had to go to the championship, and they haven't paid off really. But he has dropped quite a level, and I'm a little bit concerned that if he doesn't get this right, then what for Lee Clark? Because he's still young, he's still in his mid-40s as a manager.
Yeah.
You need to get this right, and I'd like to see Blythe. Blythe have always been on the cusp of playoffs, hovering, but never got over that line to get promoted. And it'll be great to have another, because the North East, we've touched upon this several times on the show, that the North East football is suffering big time, and Blythe and Shield are the two non-league teams that always seem to be doing well. It would be nice to see them just go that extra step. Maybe he's got
I mean,
contacts.
speaking of Shields, South Shields are doing all right at the minute.
That's what I meant, South Shields.
Yeah, I mean, they're going leaps and bounds, mate. They could make
Money in it, they've got money behind it.
Yeah,
Ex-players playing for them.
Good for them.
Under 23s.
Couple of seasons, they might play Sunderland.
You never know. But that's my only little worry. But he's got his contacts, and hopefully, he does well for it.
Yeah, we absolutely love him, and it is such a shame to sort of see him. Like you said, he had a brilliant time at Huddersfield, and you'd think that he would have been entitled to maybe a step up after leaving Huddersfield. But he's, in terms of how his managerial career has gone, it's been very similar to that of Gary Monk's, in the sense that he started off fairly high, but then couldn't follow with a bigger move, and has always gone down a level since. And that's been quite sad to see, because I thought he proved himself at Huddersfield, like, that he could cut it at that level, but sadly other spells at Blackpool, Bury.
The Blackpool one I'll stick up from, because that's a poison chalice. It is, isn't it?
Definitely.
You look at Blackpool and think
Definitely,
anybody who goes in there, you've got to work with the Oystons. So
I mean, the three of the Oystons now, so
there's loads of them.
big up Blackpool for that. So
We think we've had it bad with Mike Ashley, Blackpool.
indeed, yeah, their fans took a 3-4 year hiatus from Bloomfield Road because of them. Madman.
Yeah, it was great entertainment when Blackpool were in the Premier League in 2010 to 11.
I know they made Charlie Adam look good. Do you remember that? Charlie Adam scored 12 goals or something. I was thinking he'd be a cracking
Was
save
he
for
a star
Newcastle.
player?
He went to Liverpool, failed miserably at Liverpool, and then went to Stoke, scored that wicked goal against Chelsea from the halfway line or something.
Yeah.
And then
Kind of run.
and now look at him. He's on the verge of retirement or something, I suppose.
Well, he's got a bit of money out of it, so he's alright.
Yeah, speaking of fellow non-league football, Gateshead, the news was last week, we covered this on last week's show, they've been thrown out of the
Pending
league.
suspension.
Pending suspension,
appeal,
yes.
sorry.
And over this past week, new owners have indeed come in. Hooray. So...
It's great. It's good.
It's really good news. Just hopefully something comes through with this appeal, and they're allowed back into the Conference National, because despite them being deducted the points that they have and ended up finishing 17th as a result of that, they came damn close to that playoff, and
Yeah.
you'd think
With 14 players or something.
they're exactly. So it's a remarkable achievement from the staff. They're concerned they haven't been paid for most of the season.
There isn't any staff anymore.
There isn't any staff anymore. The uproar at the club's just been manic. So for them to have such a good season, fair play to them.
There's still a lot of uncertainty around them, whether they stay in the conference or they get demoted to the Conference North. It's all about survival.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, whether that means they've got to drop division. And look, I'm sure this will be the favourites.
We touched on it last week. I'd love Newcastle to put the hand out and say, look, if you want to play win a friendly or something to raise some money, then.
Well, we touched upon that last week. There should be like the Sunderland and the two in between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Between the two clubs.
So I think as a club, as a club that's helped support Gateshead as an affiliated team for a long time, I think we need to support them.
I'm pleased for them. It's great news for Gateshead because there's been weeks and weeks of uncertainty whether even the future of the club exists. It looks like, fingers crossed for them, for the Heat, that the directors come in. They've actually got a bit of common sense. And Dr. Vanish, whatever you call it, I'll call him Dr. Vanish because he has vanished. We'll call him that for tonight.
Right. Okay.
But I'm pleased he's gone for them because that's the worry, and the worry was that there was going to be this brand new club created from scratch, quite similar to an AFC Wimbledon or an FC Manchester United.
Or even a Darlington.
So that was the worry, but hopefully, whether it's in the conference or the Conference North, they can hang on and be a club at least for another season.
It's been a really rough season for everyone involved. You know, we've had staff members sacked via text or email. You just don't do that.
I had one of them on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
The general manager.
And a week later was sacked via text. So it's been a really difficult season for everyone involved at Gateshead. There's no one at all who has benefited from this difficult season. Even Steve Watson jumped ship to York in mid-season, and from there that just seems to be a big nail in the coffin of the playoff chase. But I'm
happy for all these Geordies in around this area back again managing.
Yeah.
So
it's good to see.
It's good to see it, and hopefully they'll kick on with their careers because Steve Watson's only just right at the beginning of his career, whereas Clark's been around for about 5 or 6 years now, and then Alan Armstrong's fairly new as well.
I think it's a good project for Clark to work on. That gives him something to sink his teeth into, and good luck with Blythe.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, so that is pretty much it regarding the non-league situation, with Lee Clark moving over to Blythe. Alan Armstrong is now managing at Darlington. He played for them as a player. He was also on the books for Newcastle and Middlesbrough. And yeah, big news at Gateshead. It is the best possible news that the fans could wish for, and hopefully now they can rebuild and build some success at the Gateshead International Stadium. Coming up after this, we'll be talking about the Europa League and Champions League finals, as well as the adjusting to the rules regarding handballs, cards for coaches, drop balls, etc. More of that to cut. So yeah, there will be more of that to come over the show. And then, just sort of, we've got a little bit of time to... So yeah, that is coming up after this. Sorry.
I thought you 30 seconds left you had. But I was trying my best to just keep it at. I was telling you to keep on going.
Oh, I thought you said hurry up.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no. That was, if I do that, it means keep on going, mate. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said keep on going.
That's what I meant.
Keep
Keep
going.
going. The news will come on in 20 seconds. It'll come on automatically.
So it's still picking up your audio because I'm left the news on.
Fair dues. Yeah, sorry. I thought I did understand.
We'll go.
Bower plant joke. I'd have turned to my bower plant joke if.
Remember, the mics are picking up, so be careful what you're saying.
Oh yeah. I'm honest, I don't see anything.
Yeah, we'll pick it up. I thought I'll leave the news on. That's not copyrighted.
Yeah. Makes change to on and on, doesn't it?
Aye.
On.
We'll listen to the news.
Angela, the former universities minister, is the first candidate to the Tory leadership to while Donald Trump believes Britain should be prepared for a no-deal Brexit. Ahead of a state visit this week, the US leader says the UK should be willing to walk away if we're not happy with Brussels' terms for leaving the European Union. There's to be tighter regulation of prepaid funeral plans. The government's concerned that high-pressure sales techniques are targeting vulnerable customers. Last year, nearly 180,000 plans were sold, mostly costing between £2,500 and £5,000. Celebrations on Merseyside, Liverpool's Champions League victory parade has been followed by tens of thousands of fans on the streets of the city. Their win over Spurs for the 6th time they've won Europe's biggest club trophy. Johanna Conte is through to the quarter-finals of the French Open. She beat Croatian Donna Vekic in straight sets. That's the latest from Radio News Hub. I'm Dave Rhodes.
William, Pamela and Anthony were sold investments by banks and ended up losing money. Luckily, they contacted the financial claims experts at Goodwin Barrett and were able to claim back a total of £65,500. At Goodwin Barrett, we may be able to help you too. If you've lost money on an investment sold by a bank, even if you no longer have the investment or the paperwork, just text LOST to 60777 for a free assessment on how much you could be owed. Text LOST to 60777 and we'll call you back.
Start with Lowe's Financial Management. When it comes to choosing how to put your money to work, there are countless options.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
No, it's alright, it's got a server problem, I couldn't read them out.
Oh, no.
It might fix it, if it doesn't, don't worry about it.
Financial advice. We have thousands of satisfied clients who would recommend our services to help you secure, build and safeguard your financial future. For more information and a free initial consultation, give us a call on 0191 281 8811 or visit our website lowe's.co.uk. Lowe's Financial Management, where personal finances are cared for personally. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
I'm John Francis. Tottenham and Liverpool fans are gathering in Madrid ahead of the Champions League final. Spurs are in the biggest game in European club football for the first time. They take on Jurgen Klopp's side, who are looking to lift the trophy for a 6th time. Former Chelsea manager Antonio Conte is back in work. The ex-Blues boss, who won the Premier League title and FA Cup during his time at Stamford Bridge, is the new Inter Milan head coach. Luciano Spalletti was recently sacked by the Serie A club. Ben Stokes has played down a stunning catch which helped England to victory over South Africa in their opening Cricket World Cup game. He admitted he was originally in the wrong position, forcing him to dive acrobatically. The all-rounder also scored 89 with the bat in the 104-run win. Khaled says he hopes to be fit to play at Wimbledon. The British #1 injured his knee, which forced him to retire hurt from his second-round match at the French Open. And Ashley Smith has run the fastest women's 200 metres this year. The British sprinter beat the Olympic champion Elaine Thompson and the world champion Daphne Schippers to claim victory in the Diamond League meeting.
Get ready for strawberries and cream flavoured everything.
Every go, we got it covered on NE1 FM. This is NE1 FM.
What did you say?
To create a song, I don't wanna miss a beat.
Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone. The time is 6 minutes past 8. And so we are moving on. We are moving out of the Northeast and into Europe, as Wednesday night, that saw the final between Chelsea and Arsenal in the Europa League final. Well, it was a pretty drab first half, wasn't it? There was barely anything going. I mean, Aubameyang missed a good chance, but that was it. That was all we could say for the first half. But then in the second half, the game just burst into life, and Chelsea ran riot.
Chelsea burst into life, not quite the game. Chelsea did, and in 23 second half minutes, blew Arsenal out the water, Rob.
Pretty much, yeah. Couldn't have put it better myself. And after the game, Eden Hazard was interviewed, and it's been widely reported that he'll be due a move over to Real Madrid. It seems most likely. He knows it. He's been like Chelsea's version of Jose Perez in the sense that he's not been shy just to. Not in terms of quality, but
I was going to say.
Yeah. Sorry. I should make that clear. Not in terms of quality, but in terms of what he says off the pitch. He's always never afraid to say, I want to have a move to a bigger club. And bigger than Chelsea, you've got your Real Madrids, your Barças. He's definitely been good enough for a long time to play for one of those, and so we are assuming that he's going to be signing off. 2 goals, brilliant performance from Eden Hazard.
Guess where Hazard is right now? Which country?
Hazard, I don't know.
Pick one.
Abu Dhabi. It's not UAE.
No, he's in Spain right now.
Oh.
On holiday. Is the official term.
Didn't Tino Asprilla have a holiday in Darlington? Yeah.
Kitchen.
Goodness me. What is there in Darlington? And I'm from there. But yeah, so there was something after that game. I noticed that some Arsenal fans were blaming Arsene Wenger for the defeat on Wednesday night. And to me, yeah, that...
Had nowadays, Wenger.
Arsenal fans, I mean... I have lost respect for me over the past few years with the way they've treated Wenger. I mean,
just like Man City fans, you don't like them either.
You're really putting me in
digged you out there, now.
But yes, over the whole Wenger out farce, if you like, Arsenal fans have lost so much respect for them. You got a manager that gives you success to success, top 4 finish after top 4, and they went through a phase of winning about 3 out of 4 FA Cups, and then they're just crying out for to be given the chop. Who do they think he is? A wife of Henry VIII? But
oh God, Rob, with these puns. Look, I think with we're not in that position, but I think Arsenal fans wanted to go and try and win the league.
To be fair, I get where they're coming from, because it's been how long since they were last relevant in a title race? Like seriously, like since this Stan Kroenke came in, they've been very stationary. They haven't moved forward.
Exactly.
And the feeling for Arsenal fans is there's no progression there, and I can kind of relate in the fact we haven't had progression for a long time. They're much higher on the spectrum, but they're like us, are stagnating, and they're finding by stagnating they're falling behind. Like I've seen
that's an ownership issue, isn't it?
They fell behind Spurs. They're competing with
compete with Man United for 4th and 5th.
Exactly, and they were only 6 points in front of Burnley last season. So like they're falling behind, and they're very weary of us potentially being bought. They're very weary of Leicester. They're very weary of Everton.
Big shout out DT.
Very wary of Wolves as well. So at the end of the day, I don't blame them, because they've been rumoured to have 60 million to spend.
To blame Wenger's. Look,
you say that, Kyle.
Emery got it wrong totally, big time.
You say that, Kyle, but surely that is an ownership issue. In the same,
it is an ownership issue. So I didn't understand the hatred against Arsene Wenger, because I felt he was with what he was doing an okay job. Because even Arsenal fans have said themselves they've got average players, bar the front 2. That is a very mediocre Premier League side, and for me, I just think the pointed the hatred and things like that the wrong direction. They should have got on Stan Kroenke's back and used the banners for him instead of instead of like pointing the finger at Wenger, because eventually I think with that kind of mindset they'll turn the finger towards Emery, and I really hope that doesn't happen because he's a good manager and things like that.
He's a good manager, but I think finishing fifth this season just gone, I think that kind of proves that Wenger wasn't really the problem in the first place.
It's a very mentally weak team, like it really is. Like it was in their hands to go and get this Champions League spot, and they go and lose it at home to Crystal Palace and draw it home to Brighton. So it's just mentally weak players, maybe bottling it. Like the laugh at Spurs for bottling it, but the Arsenal been bottling it for a lot longer. Trust us. But at the end of the day, we don't watch Arsenal every week. Arsenal fans obviously do. They understand what the frustrations are around the club. We have our own frustrations with Mike Ashley and things like that. It's just like them talking about us. They'll sympathise with what's going on with Mike Ashley and things like that, but other than that, they'll be under the mindset of, come just talk about Arsenal, please. With us, I sympathise that they've made no progression in the last 10 years, but...
If you ask a Gunners fan, where would you be, right? What would you rather be now? Third, fourth in the league, in a Champions League final? They would take that. Because they want to be competing in a higher level. They can't. They've been 4th, 5th, 6th for the last decade in the Europa League. Arsenal now are not the big guns anymore. People talk about that big 6. There's a big 2.
It's a big summer for them.
There's a big 2, and then there's the next big 4 after that. That's the way the league is at the moment. Arsenal cannot get to that top 2 level and compete. They haven't for years. Look, they do have problems. It's probably better problems than what we have, because they want to now try and progress. I would love to have that problem, that makes sense. But we're not there for 10 years.
As I said before, they're higher than us on the spectrum. So as Newcastle fans, why are they moaning for top 4 every season?
Exactly, it's like
FA Cup now and again, who wouldn't want that? But
it's like a Leyton Orient fan having to go at us.
We're low on the spectrum in the league, so it's like what they see as mediocre would be a dream for us, because they're a bigger club than us. So at the end of the day, mate, it's
exactly. I would agree on that.
It's just the way it is.
It's like a Coventry fan or a Wimbledon fan or a Leyton Orient fan or Portsmouth having to go. You've got Mike Ashley. That's nothing. You see now, as in that could totally.
Yeah, exactly. So
but you wouldn't understand it. You can get why.
Of course.
Yeah, and so moving on to last night's match, it wasn't the most entertaining of matches, but Liverpool 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Congratulations, though, are in order to 2 former Newcastle players, Jorginho Wijnaldum, James Milner.
And Sunderland have reminded with that Jordan Henderson lifted the trophy. I mean,
big shout out to Sissoko as well, having a great start.
Yeah, I was about to say Sissoko on the losing side, and it was. He did a really good job, didn't Tottenham get rid of him?
I mean, it should be. Not far off.
It was an awful final.
Yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining.
Liverpool are responsible for the best final I've ever seen in the Champions League and the worst. God, last night was dreadful.
But in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, people won't remember that game. They'll just say the name.
Maybe not.
To be fair, even now I still talk about Istanbul, so I'll remember the final for the wrong reasons.
Liverpool didn't play great, but you cannot say over the season they haven't been. They've been sensational, and they finished on 97 points with nothing in the Premier League. That's tough, man. That is really tough to take.
Yep.
Yes.
It feels like, I could imagine it would feel like losing the title on goal difference or being relegated on goal difference. It's tough to accept it. Or you lost the World Cup final on a penalty shootout or something like that. It's very hard on you. But Liverpool, on the end of the day, took the chances and they played the unfit Harry Kane and got it wrong. Pochettino should have. We all know that Lucas Moura should have started from the off.
Yeah, I mean, you take Lucas Moura, who's had such a big effect on Tottenham for all the right reasons in the Champions League. He scored that crucial goal at the end of the group stage, and then he overturned, single-handedly overturned the semi-final in Tottenham's favour for them to get there in the first place. So for him to start on the bench, he would have every right to, if he didn't do this morning, go right up to Pochettino's office and say, well, ask why he didn't play, or even more, hand in a transfer request.
It's not the old days of Duncan Ferguson now and Cheryl waltzing in
with Ruud
Hullit's office. Why was I playing?
Waltzing in the loosest possible sense of the word, maybe. I like to think, but yeah, it was quite difficult really for Tottenham. They just didn't really perform on the night, and Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp has ended his final jinx
Yeah, to see it in done an interview. I think it was with Danish TV with Fjordtoft. He used to play for Norwegian. Sorry, he'd done an interview and he was singing "Let's Talk About Six, Baby." He was like actually taking the Mickey out of himself, and I like that he's famous.
Yeah.
He can take the Mickey out of himself.
I like Klopp. I like
him.
Yeah.
He's a cool dad. I would probably describe him as like he's one of the
much loved figure in the modern game, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's just different, and he's open to talk to fans. I mean he's been on the Red Men channel and things like that for Liverpool. I mean, imagine us
swore the other night again.
He swore like he's just a down to earth bloke. You know what I mean? I'd really like him as manager at Newcastle. I'm not gonna lie.
He's a infectious. That's what.
Yeah. I do like that.
He brings it on. And you can see that even though he's a millionaire, because he gets, let's face it, he gets paid thousands and thousands, and rightly so. Well, you might say rightly so, but because the success is brought, you just look at it and think, God. Sometimes I wish I think, God, I wish Rafa was a bit like that. Even though I wouldn't change Rafa, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But I'd like to see him just because all I ever see Rafa on the touchline is just throw his arms about referees and sits back down.
Yeah, I like Rafa the way he is,
I
but
like Rafa, but I wouldn't mind Rafa having with Klopp. Even his mannerism and the way he goes on.
The way Klopp goes on, though, it's like he's got a bit of fan.
Because he used to be that man.
He's just a total fan, and he's so animated and so passionate. I love it, mate.
Well, he used to play defender for
when he wasn't winning anything, like in Liverpool, they were saying, "Oh, he's cuddled all of his players and whatnot." But at the end of the day, like he's a manager that cares about that team, and even when they win, he goes to the cop end and he does the fist pumps and that. He's perfect for Liverpool. He really is, because that city loves football. It breathes football. It is football, and Klopp loves football.
Just the right side.
Like honestly, he breathes football as well. So it's a match made in heaven, isn't it?
Such a great character, and so many players, said that they love to play for him. Steven Gerrard said that he wished he had played under Klopp as a manager, and. I read a magazine article a couple of years ago. It was about his time at Borussia Dortmund, Klopp. There was one time during a half time in a game, he tried to have a go at the hairdryer treatment, but then he just laughed halfway through at trying to give the hairdryer treatment. And yeah, he's such a great guy. But then during that game, there was a handball with Moussa Sissoko trying to hitch a ride, by the looks of it.
Is that a penalty?
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. You see where his arm is?
Yeah, I think it's a penalty. I know it's like hits his shoulder and rolls on his arm, but
it's a penalty. Yeah.
It's a penalty all day.
And next season there are quite a lot of rule changes. I mean, we're not going to be able to fit them all in, but there are rules regarding handballs, drop balls, cards for coaches.
That still happens now, doesn't it?
It was trialled this year in the EFL, but now apparently it's been successful and it now will be done worldwide. So a lot of rule changes, and my bottom line is that I think they might have OD'd it. It's too much too soon. By all means, bring all of these in eventually, but maybe one at a time. Because it's just, even for referees, it must be a really difficult job to...
They're incompetent enough as it is.
The one thing that they need to change is the offside rule. Because when the player's active and not active, it's go back to the old school way. If you're past that defender, you're offside, regardless if it's in play or not. Simple as that. Have no advantages, just keep it simple, and then you never know. The ladies might understand that offside rule a little bit more better.
Right, and so... with this change, I think changing the handball rule, that's been the most talked about topic of late. And
again with the handball, if it's handball, penalty. None of this handball that if it hits you,
it's like a strict liability punishment
penalty.
now.
That's it, penalty. Forget it. Doesn't matter if it's handball or was he moving it? Just give the penalty.
Yeah, handball is very much like a strict liability punishment now, which basically means that if you don't mean it, it's still an offence.
I think it should be. If it hits your hand, that's it. Just give it as a penalty. If you're last man, if you're this, there is a lot of rule changes and stuff like that, and things like handball and they keep getting changed. The last man now rules change, the triple punishment and all that. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I can understand why you want to take out the idea of interpretation out of the game, because at the end of the day, when it comes to interpretation, it might all depend on the angle that the officials have of a certain incident, and that might deprive a team of 3 points. It might deprive a
VAR
team,
is something I'm looking forward to, though. I welcome that.
I used to be a big critic of VAR, but I think officiating at the highest level in England has been so bad.
Neil
this
Warnock
season.
summed it up the best.
Yeah.
Best league in the world, worst officials.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's no coincidence that in last year's World Cup there were no English officials at all.
It doesn't shock you though, does it? I mean, the amount of to touch back on Newcastle, the amount of decisions that went against us last year, man.
Who is the best English official?
Jesus Christ!
Everyone used to go on, about
Craig Pawson, maybe.
Everyone used to say Clattenburg. I was a Geordie, and then you had.
He's no longer a referee.
Well, he's still quite young.
The honestly think, mate, Dean's the best referee in the country.
He's the most experienced.
Are you serious?
He's the most experienced, but
he's not.
His club sums him up. Tranmere. That's the level of refereeing that is in the Premier League.
Can't help the way he supports his clubs.
He can help the way he referees, solely. Honestly, he's absolutely abysmal as a referee.
There's loads, but there's loads.
Christ.
Yeah, I think VAR will certainly level the playing field. I think
Anthony Taylor's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, admittedly, yeah.
Roger East. He's been nice to Newcastle when he's been refereed with
What
us
about
season.
your friend?
Kevin Friend.
Kevin Friend?
God, awful.
You keep saying that he's my friend, but all I've had is like a 5-minute chat with him.
About VAR, so tell us more.
A bit about VAR, he just sort of called on people to persevere with it.
Honestly, I seen him after the Blackburn game because he gave away a penalty, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Kevin, you give away a penalty. Do you know how long it's been since we had a penalty up here? And he laughed because he probably knows how bad it's been.
That was VAR that gave it that
exactly.
Day.
So you know what I mean? It's like it's mental.
I'll tell you what was a farce is when I think it was Swansea. Was it Swansea away? Swansea at home. Sorry, but it was one of the Championship clubs that was still in the FA Cup. Didn't have it installed.
FA Cup quarter final.
That was a joke because it is technically a Premier League stadium, isn't it? They wouldn't install it. It was like, and that could have kept them in the cup.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, big decisions go the way of the big teams. And so, coming up, subject, and following the death of Jose Antonio Reyes, we'll be looking at the sad side of English football over this past year, following the other deaths of Vichai Srivaddhanaprabha, Emiliano Sala, Josef Shiral in Turkey. There are quite a few moments where, when you come to realise that there are more important things than football. And so we'll be reflecting on the achievements and the career of Jose Reyes when we come back right after this. We're getting there. Right. 35.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways.
Fan Zone on NE1 FM. And so, moving on to the next part of our show tonight, English football has had a difficult year. There may have had been plenty of success on the pitch with domination in Europe and the like, but yes, it has been a difficult time in English football for over the past year. The latest, yesterday, Jose Antonio Reyes very sadly died in a car accident in Spain yesterday. Used to play for Arsenal. He was a member of Arsenal's invincible season in 2003-04. Well, he arrived halfway through that season. And he was a player that, although he was no stranger to trophy, I always remember him sort of, as an excellent left winger who could also play up front. What were your memories of the Spanish?
He was always a nifty little player. He was always a nightmare for Newcastle defenders, and it's just such a shame that we're talking about Jose Antonio Reyes in this situation that he's passed away. It's just the age of 35. It's the age for anyone. I mean, the Man United, the games where he got kicked the hell off Gary Neville, Roy Keane. He caused them that many problems, man. And even after his days at Arsenal, he went and won the Europa League with Sevilla. He was always a fantastic player, and he was always one of them players that I kept an eye on, because he always had a trick in him. He always had a good pass. He scored. Good shot on him as well. Good shot on him. Scored. He used to always get you 10-15 goals a season. Was always solid in that department. But yeah, real sad day for football. Him passing, like, and as a Arsenal invincible, I'm sure Arsenal fans would have been devastated as well as me. I'm good too.
Yeah, tributes poured in from Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Freddie Ljungberg. 23 goals in 110 appearances for the Gunners. But further afield from England, he made a great career from mainly Sevilla, also Real Madrid. I mean, you do not play for Real Madrid if you're not a good player.
That logic's a bit skewed because Joslu played for them once. But
yeah.
So did Thomas Gravison. But speaking of Reyes, you on about the first memories. I didn't think he had his best football at Arsenal, though. I think he had his best football in La Liga.
Yeah, he made it in La Liga. So many seasons
I mean,
there.
how many
so
Europa
many
Leagues? He's won 4 or 5 Europa Leagues. I think he's the highest player who's won the most Europa Leagues. So, yeah. Couldn't get in that Arsenal side when he first came in, which is understandable. He was very much as a squad player, same as Real Madrid, but elsewhere Sevilla was his big one. Spanish international as well. I think he went to a couple of tournaments as well.
Yeah.
Look, the lad has talent, and 35, man. I mean, we could walk out the building and something might happen to us. It's no age, you know what I mean? So it's really young, and he's still another, probably 2/3 of his life to go.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's unfortunately
it's life. A damn shame.
These things happen. Car crashes happen. Not that you wanted to wish it on anybody, of course, but I mean, how many car crashes happen a day? You're probably talking thousands. So it's a shame that anybody, not just a footballer, anybody in life, we're only talking about them because it's related to football and this is a football show, but anybody who loses their life because of something that's unfortunate they can't control, it's just a sad state of affair, but it's part of life.
And earlier in the season, back in October, there was an outpouring of mourning and emotion from the football world. Really, it wasn't just in the UK. It wasn't just in the Midlands where Leicester are. Vichai Srivaddhanaprabha, who was an owner who was deemed as the mastermind behind that miraculous title-winning title-winning side, and that was just wonderful. Back in 2016, we in our lifetime are probably never gonna experience another miracle like that. Everyone, even the even fans of the big clubs, were supporting Leicester during that time, and it's so sad. It was again in tragic circumstances in the helicopter crash following a game, as he so often did. It was quite common practice for him to leave the stadium on a match day after a match via a helicopter. And
when we went to Leicester recently, there's pictures of him around the stadium as well.
It was around his birthday, wasn't it, when Newcastle United played Leicester at the King Power?
We went past the it's like a little factory, like a little gate area, and that's where the helicopter went down, because Kyle and Johnny were with us from the channel as well, asking, is that where it is? And we were like, yeah, I think it is.
It's powerful when you see it, like, because you see all the tribute and that on Sky and everything like that. As fans,
we've done tributes as well. I think it's more than just a Leicester thing.
And when you see it in person, it really hits you hard. Like, it's really powerful. And the things this man did for Leicester, I mean, I remember him coming out with a statement, we want a challenge for the top 5 in a couple of seasons. I'm going to put money into this team. And everybody laughed at him, me included. I was thinking, you've just came up. You're not getting in the top 5, and a couple of years later, they win the Premier League, man.
I was watching...
And look who laughed at the end.
When the accident happened, I was watching BT Sport because it was on the Premier League Tonight show. So they were just about to go for an ad break, and you see the helicopter about to take off, and then they came back from the advert, and then you heard a massive boom, like Jake Humphries, and
he was in tears, wasn't he?
They didn't know what it happened straight away, but you heard the boom, and then it must have filtered through about 15-20 minutes. Obviously, the news crews and all that getting rushed, and ambulances and so on. That he had to break it, and it was about 9:15 at night. He had to broke the news, and they cut the show. They didn't want to go on because they were actually being
they had to evacuate the building.
To the left, and it was like, blooming hell. It just goes to show you, helicopter crashes are a lot rare than what because there's not many helicopters flying about. But
and take away the football aspect of Vichai. He, by all accounts, he seemed a brilliant man.
Yeah.
The one thing that comes to me when I think of him is community.
Yeah.
Some of that our
he
own
brought Leicester, Leicester as a city together, and
bought them pints, the clappers, all of that, the atmosphere. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's to try and improve it. He was very much for charity as well.
Yeah,
millionaire.
He was.
Even though he's, no disrespect, an outsider, when he came, he took in. It's like when you take in someone else's culture. He done that when he came into Leicester, because Leicester's very much a mixed race city, and it doesn't matter what colour.
Diverse,
it doesn't matter which colour your skin was. He took it all in, whether you're black or white. So credit him.
Yeah, he did unite the whole city of Leicester. I mean, it's known as like a rugby city, isn't it, with the two big Leicester teams in rugby, but he's done some amazing things at that team, and it's such a sad subject to say that he's passed away and died in a helicopter crash, because he did such great things for Leicester, and I hope his son can carry on the legacy that he set for Leicester, and good luck to them. And honestly, it's such a sad thing to talk about.
Yes, and back in January, Cardiff City paid what was going to be their record signing, Emiliano Sala, and he signed for Cardiff, and then he hopped back to Nantes to say goodbye to his friends, his teammates, and colleagues, and very sadly, on his way back to the Welsh capital, his plane disappeared into the Channel, and very sadly, Salah was found about a week later, and confirmed his identity was confirmed. And I remember seeing a compilation on YouTube of his goals, and he seemed like a great player. I can't say I knew of him before Cardiff signed him. But he was a player that could engineer a goal or a goal scoring opportunity out of absolutely nothing when you least expect it.
We've done a video with the fans about why Cardiff has splashed the cash so much on a striker. Their aim was to stay up. We actually asked fans about that, why on the club, our side, doing the same thing. And then obviously we played Cardiff as well. We beat them quite easily. Fabian Sheikh had a worldie that day performance, and we won, what was it, 3-0?
3, yeah.
And it was tough because we interviewed one of the Cardiff fans who's got the YouTube channel, and he was struggling. He had like a massive gulp in his throat, struggling to just express what it meant. And look, I know he wasn't a Cardiff player through because they've just literally signed him. It's probably more hard. I'm not taking this away from Cardiff fans, but Nantes fans probably felt it a bit more.
They were attached to him.
Yeah, they had a relationship, well, if you call it that, with your player. But these three things that we've talked about are all mechanical faults. You're talking about a car, you're talking about 2 helicopters, a plane and a helicopter. So it's a sad way to lose your life because it's not a natural cause. But as I say earlier on, crashes happen all the time. Planes and helicopters are a lot less frequent than what a car crash is. But like I say, it doesn't matter whether you're a sportsman or a normal person. It's life, unfortunately. And just because they're in the public eye shouldn't mean that we shouldn't forget the average Joe who's on the street.
And Salah, a great goal scorer, and I remember coming to the end of that YouTube compilation. It showed his last ever goal in his life at such an age that is absolutely nothing.
You never know, that could have kept Cardiff up if he's.
It could well have done, because even if he'd have scored 4 or 5 goals, it could have been the difference.
Been in it.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a really sad situation.
And that still rumbles on, that transfer saga fee, which shouldn't be happening. You've seen the torment that family had when they went to the Channel Islands, and you had the sister crying her eyes out at press conference, and that was horrible to say.
Yeah, and finally, there was the Alan Yaspor player Yosef Sharal, who Alan Yaspor, the team, were travelling back from an away game. Papis Cisse, former Newcastle United number 9, was on that same bus, an Alan Yaspor player now.
Steve Corker was on that as well.
Steve Corker, yeah, and very sadly in a bus crash, Yosef Sharal very sadly lost his life, and you feel for or everyone who was injured in that incident, and very sadly, one too many lives were lost in that incident.
Again, it's another vehicle. It's common theme.
It just goes to show that it can happen at any. Death can happen at any point. It doesn't matter how fit, healthy you are. Death can occur at any moment. So say to your loved ones, I love you. Kyle, I love you. Lee, I love you.
Shows Rob.
I don't love you. Sorry, not in that way. I might love you as a mate, but that's as far as I'll push the boundaries.
As mates, yeah, yeah. But yes, very poignant part of the show where we reflected.
Can we get off that now?
Jesus Christ, man.
Yes.
Went from death to love straight off the bat.
There were thoughts on, and our thoughts really do go out to Jose Antonio Reyes and his family and friends who are struggling at this moment in time. And so to round off the show, we'll be talking about the Championship playoff final that occurred on Monday. And between Aston Villa and Derby County, and I seem to ask this every year, what is it about Derby County and the playoffs? They keep hitting there consistently so much, and yet they always, as Rachel Riley would say, bottle jobs.
Yeah, you've met Rachel, haven't you? Lampard's done a good job, I think.
He has.
I can't really meet her anymore now that the restraining order's in place. I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't be a bad shout if you say that Derby go for automatic promotion next season.
We've said that before with them, but
With Lampard, I think Lampard's.
We keep saying it, but it never happens. It never happens, as I once said.
But I just don't see it. I think Leeds will come up. I think
You got the 3 relegated sides. Possibly 2 of them will challenge.
I think Stoke will come up,
Mm.
and I think West Brom will come up. I just don't see it for Derby. They've got a great side, but
the live chat is now up and running on YouTube.
For what it's worth, I just don't think Derby are going to come up. Like, I want them to come up because Pride Park.
The live chat is back up. Do you want the bad news? Time for an ad break.
We'll be back.
We'll be back after this short break.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go.
welcome back to the final part of tonight's Football Fan Zone live on NE1 FM. And so, next part of the show, final part of the show, we'll be talking about discussing how the 3 promoted sides from this season's championship might cope in next year's Premier League. So we'll start off with the title winners, Sheffield United. They are back in the Premier League following a 12-year absence. They were managed under Neil Warnock, funnily enough, that time. And so their manager, Chris Wilder, and he has really impressed me. Sorry, yeah, my voice went very unnaturally high there. But yeah, Chris Wilder, not long ago, he was manager of Northampton, and he's then he took Sheffield United up to the Premier League, and he's taken he's a manager that's gone through League 2, League 1, Championship, Premier League. If I'm not mistaken, he's the first Premier League manager to do that since Eddie Howe managed to get Bournemouth into the Premier League in 2015. And so, just like us as Newcastle United, their ownership is a bit of a mess. And to be honest,
they've got a new owner, haven't they? They've got a Sheikh, haven't they?
From my point of view, I think it's quite a minor miracle that they came up in the first place. And you look at the squad, there are certainly many places to improve, but if you can, ace the championship in the way that they have done, I think they are definitely capable of maybe a 13th, 14th, maybe safety in with the remaining 3 games in next season. How do you think Sheffield United will cope, Lee, bearing in mind that all that they've had in this century in terms of Premier League appearances was that one cameo appearance in 2006-07?
Yeah, they're not friends of Carlos Tevez much, are they?
No.
First of all, it's a short journey, so I'm happy about them coming
up.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to going to Bramble Lane.
2 hours drive. Thank you very much. That's probably the hardest job out of the 3 clubs that have coming up. But me and Kyle were talking about on last week's show. Sunderland need a manager getting through the divisions. He's the type of guy that you would need. Local lad as well, so you'll feel the passion a lot more and feel the love. It's a massive ask out of the 3 clubs. You'll probably say Sheffield United are probably the weakest, but they do have a billionaire owner, who is from the Far East, who has a similar kind of wealth of, allegedly, I must say, as we keep saying, Sheikh Khaled, but because financial fair play rules state they can't go crazy on money.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to, which Newcastle fans need to look at as well. We can't go crazy on money either if we get taken over. But back to Sheffield United, more the northern clubs the better, because there's too many southern teams in the Premier League, in probably the top 2 divisions, to be all honesty. There's not many northern teams. If you take the northwest out, there's not many Yorkshire teams, there's not many northeast teams, so I'm happy.
Definitely,
but more than happy, I'm happy that there's just a 2-hour drive. That's all I care.
Yeah, we've just approximately off the top of your head, how many miles do you think you've covered this season with away trips? So like there and
Too
back.
many.
Well, Cardiff's probably one of the longest. London a few times, probably up to 10,000, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And you're just one Newcastle fan. There are so many other Newcastle fans that regularly make those trips. We love
regularly
our
make
football.
those trips. Get your teeth back in.
Did you review the visiting? Oh, sorry. Did you review the other stadiums on TripAdvisor?
No.
Yeah.
No.
TripAdvisor.
We won't be going there. But you do the pie review.
Oh yeah.
The pie review needs to come back next season.
Do that on TripAdvisor.
Just to point out, he doesn't buy pies from St James's Park.
That's right.
Don't you not, Rob?
It's always
Sheffield United, anyone?
It's always when I'm away. But yeah. Just before we head off air, we've got a few moments to spare. Do feel free to hop onto our live feed and put some questions in the chat, and we might generate a brief Q&A before we close off at 9 o'clock.
It is temperamental, so we'll see.
We'll see how we get on. We might have to improvise.
Well, I do have one question. Do you think the takeover will happen from George?
No.
As I said earlier, George, mate, me head is saying no, but my heart is saying yes. That's all I can sum it up with, mate, honestly. Can't really go into detail because we don't know much as of yet. But if it happens, Scenes.
You're pinching that at me now, aren't
If it doesn't happen,
you? Go on, get the corner flag!
if it doesn't happen, man, it's going to be such a bummer, man. Honestly, but hopefully, what does George think?
Don't know. Please let us know, George.
Let me know, mate.
One for you, Rob.
Well, when it happens, I'm gonna be really gutted that I will have just woken up. It will just be a dream come true. If it does happen, I can't it's just too little at the moment to go on. People just keep contradicting each other.
Yeah, journalists, especially in the sources.
We just don't know what to believe.
If Rafa went, would you have Mourinho or Wenger in, says John?
What? I don't understand. I don't understand these links.
Any. I know Wenger would be short term because I mean, let's face it, he's retirement age now. So I you got to consider what he would want personally. He'll only be in for 3 years max. Nothing long term.
If Wenger came in, we would be hated by Arsenal. They'd just hate we. They'd say Arsene Wenger. It'd be they hate we.
To be honest, I don't care what other fans think of us.
To be fair enough, but listing failure and Arsene Wenger.
You've been hanging around Rob too much.
And Arsene Wenger has been a specialist in failure in his last couple of years in a job as well. Whereas Rafa, he's been successful with what he's had at Newcastle. They've had floods of resources in comparison, and they've got very little to show for it.
One other question. What are your thoughts on Colaccini's career at Newcastle?
Colaccini's career?
Oh, that's quite a strange random one.
It started well, got worse, terrible, awful, abysmal, released.
Can't lead.
His leadership skills were left. Just awful.
These emotional letters that he used to keep sending out, and not for me.
You gotta respect him for that, though. I mean,
there was one season.
Like him, dislike him. You gotta respect. He tried to communicate with fans. I mean, we talked earlier about the upstairs in Newcastle United. They do not communicate at all with struggle to communicate with journalists, let alone
the struggle
fans.
to communicate at all.
At least Colaccini put the effort in terms of trying to get a message out there.
He might have been able to communicate with the fans all right, but communicating with his teammates, he just didn't. He just never did it.
Had a great 18 month.
It comes to something when a young 23-year-old Jamal Lascelles coming in from Nottingham Forest in the reserve, back end of the team, stands up and says, "What on earth's going on here?" And that's how Lascelles gained respect of the fan base, the respect of the rest of the team, and that's why he's captain now, because nobody else would stand up at the time. We had a dressing room full of divas, one punching walls, the other one flipping curling his hair, the other one not wanting, half of the dressing room not wanting to be there, and Lascelles stood up that day, and he stirs me respect for that. So my opinion on Colaccini is he started really well that 2012 season when he was in Team of the Year alongside Vincent Kompany at the back was a really good year for us, because he even made Mike Williamson look good at the time and Stephen Taylor. But as the years went on with Colaccini, he was over the hill, probably aged 29, and we kept him till he was 33. And in the last season, oh my God! Like people say, over the years Newcastle have had some horrible defenders. In that last season, I'd say he was up there. Like, and we've had Titus Bramble.
He's an upgrade on Titus Bramble.
Kasapa, Rosenhall.
I don't think he's on that level.
Boom Song, like you know what I mean. Like, we've had some bad defenders.
And there's one other before. Well, we're wrapping up shortly. Is Newcastle Fans TV playing the charity game today? We did. We've had a record of a loss, a heavy loss, and a win today. Question is, who's the manager for next year?
We don't know. We don't know.
I'm going to manage next year.
Kyle wants to put his name in the hat. There we go.
It's not putting him in the hat. I'm managing next year. I am managing next year. The manager that is in at the moment is I think under fire. So I'm managing next season.
I think you'll do a great job.
Words.
I think you'll do a great job. Can you put me up front, please?
Hi lads, nothing to boast, but everybody who's listening, we beat Middlesbrough Fan TV, Borough Fan TV. Sorry, they'll get upset with that. 2-1 today. Fantastic.
We did. It was a good result, even though I only had 20 minutes. But great result. Happy days. It was nice not to lose.
Apart from the political side of things, off the field antics, we raised money for Sir Bobby Robson.
That's the important thing.
Charity is the real.
Put aside all the political nonsense with what went on. my personal feelings, Lee's personal feelings, everyone's personal feelings of the channel aside with what's happened in recent weeks with it and all the mess it's caused. But charity wins at the end of the day. Like, honestly, Sir Bobby Robson, it's an absolute honour to do work for his foundation, his legacy. Like, Sir Bobby Robson.
What I like about it is like the charities themselves acknowledge the work that we've actually put in.
Yeah.
All these tweets that they keep putting out, and obviously Liz from the foundation, is that they love what we're doing, respect what we're doing, and encourage us, and thankful as well as that we've gained a bit of respect out of this and raising money. It's fantastic.
But Borough Fan TV have been asking for a rematch, haven't they, Lee? So let me know in the comments in the live chat, would you want to see a rematch between Newcastle Fans TV and Borough Fan TV? Maybe a second leg.
Maybe a walking game football.
Maybe walking game where they lost. But if you'd like to see another match between the two sides, let me know. Leave your comments below if you just want to see a rematch, because I'm more than up for it. I'm more than up for playing more than 20 minutes.
I might even play this time.
You might even play this time. All's good. But yeah, let me know if you before the season starts, before pre-season kicks in, if you want to see a rematch, because it's something I'd be happy to see. AJT was from Borough Fan TV was more than happy to want to replay this match back and try and get that win back. So I'd be more than up for it myself. Like.
And so that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for your company tonight. Thank you very much to Kyle, Lee. Thank you very much to all people tuning in on the live stream and putting their comments in as well. Yeah, it has been a very good evening, and we hope you have a very pleasant night. Bye for now.
Bye.
Come on. We got through it whilst we were really knackered.